you have an amazing roster, like um, as a producer, and your music is great. And just want to say thank you for coming on my show, everyone.
Oh
This is
yeah.
Johan Lenox. Welcome to New Music Muse.
What's up?
And yeah, so can you tell us a little bit a background, like how you got into music and producing, and where you're from?
I'm from outside of Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up in this town called Winchester. And as a kid, I was doing like classical music. So first I had like a piano in my house. I was lucky that my parents just had a piano around. No one played it, but it was there. And I was just messing around on that as a kid and gradually sort of teaching myself uh, how to play. And then I got really inspired by like film music, like the Indiana Jones soundtracks and stuff, just like these classic film scores. Um, a lot of them are by this guy John Williams, and he was also the conductor of one of the orchestras in Boston. So once I was a fan of the music, I was able to go see him conducting the orchestras, and I just became like in love with this whole idea of being able to write for orchestra. And so for a while, I was in school and just being this little like classical composer prodigy running around the country writing music for orchestras, and that was like the path I was on. And then someone played me Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, when I was at a house party tripping on acid. And that was what really kind of opened me up to more like contemporary popular hip hop, all that type of stuff. So I decided to take what I'm doing in classical and try to bring it into that world and try to reach those audiences, I think, with it. And that's kind of here I am. Yeah.
Kanye West incorporates a lot of those like cool orchestral elements into his music, and I think that's what
Yeah.
makes it so like cinematic. And you produce for Kanye, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Briefly, I worked with him in 2018 on, um, he did like 5 albums in 5 weeks, and the last two of them were an album for Nas and an album for Tiana Taylor. And those two, like, I did strings and vocal textures and just sort of different types of additional production on them.
That's really impressive. I know you put a lot of orchestral music into your own music, and but you kind of have this indie feel to it. So what do you like, what artists inspire you, and what kind of direction do you want to put your music into?
Well, yeah, it's tricky because I think that's like been something it's been tricky to figure out exactly like who my role models should be, because there isn't really anyone that's doing what I'm trying to do using like the classical music elements with, hip hop or whatever. And I'm not a rapper, I'm more of a singer. So that also, it's like I would say Kanye for sure, but it's like, I think his path is going to be a bit different from mine just because he was a rapper and I'm a singer. And I think it's just a little bit different type of music, different type of audience sometimes. So I definitely look up to him though, and like on a production side, and Travis Scott and James Blake maybe, and I think I get compared to James Blake sometimes, which is funny because I don't think my music really sounds like him, but I think I get like the context that I came from with hip hop and all that type of stuff. I think people kind of see that as like
Yeah, I
a
could see
logical.
that. Also, like your tones are a little bit similar.
Yeah,
Um,
I like his voice.
yeah, he's got a great voice. So what would you say like your favorite song was to produce or to write or anything?
I mean, definitely my own stuff is my favorite. Or it's the stuff I take most personal pride in. But I think outside of me, like definitely, I mean, I did like the string arrangement at the end of Astroworld on the last song, Coffee Bean. I think that's one that I'm just proud to have been a part of. Like that's probably the most legendary project I've been a part of in terms of just like the experience. Like I work with this artist 070 Shake a lot, who's sort of part of the Kanye.
I
Yeah,
love her.
she's
Yeah.
incredible. And yeah, and so I had done strings on her last album, but this new album I like was able to get in with her and just like be there building the whole thing from scratch with her, and she's just like a huge inspiration for me. So I think that process, like when you get to know an artist, and there's very few artists that I'll do that for, because like it is a big time commitment to just have to go somewhere to the studio and work with an artist like every night for weeks or months, like, and I've only done it with one other person before her, I think, and that was Vic Mensa. But like, if I really like the person, I really like the music, which is definitely the case with her, like uh it's like it's the best because you get to know, like you get to experiment. It's not just like let me make sure to impress them the way you feel in a first session with somebody. Like 10-20 sessions in, it's just like, okay, cool, like what's some crazy shit we can do today. And I think that, yeah.
I think you have a very chill vibe about you. So I feel like being in the studio with you would be very like non-intimidating. And I think once you're in a studio with an artist, you have to like really put in this like time and effort to really get to know their music and their kind of story, because
Yeah.
and that's like takes like a lot of brain power, like meeting artists and learning their story and what they
Yeah.
want in their music and how they want it to sound. So
Yeah, there's a
that's it.
lot of that. I think I also like the more like credibility that I've been able to gain, the more I'm in a position where people are calling on me to do my thing on their record, and so it's almost like I don't have to spend that I don't usually get into the like discographies of the artists I work with that much. I don't like study up on their last 5 albums before I go to the session. I usually just kind of like see what they released lately, and then when I get there, just hear what they're working on that's upcoming, because like they probably don't want to make the stuff they've already made anyway, and they're bringing me in to do my thing. So it's really just like hearing what they're working on and being like, where do I fit into this? And I think that also makes it like, I think, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to do an entire album with somebody, then yeah, you definitely are going to eventually learn a lot about them, and you'll probably want that. But I think a lot of times these records that I work on, someone's just like, we need strings on this one song, like do your thing, man. And I was just like, great, perfect, I will,
Artists never kind of want to stay in one phase, and a lot of people like they just want to hear something different. They want to artists want to be something different in their music, like they want to show like different sides of their artistry. And I think that's like sometimes it can be like good and sometimes it's not what everyone likes. What was your favorite song to record and make, and a lyric that sticks out to you that you were in and you feel like
good question. I've got a lot on the upcoming album which is stuff that isn't out yet, that I feel like is really my strongest stuff lyrically. Like the album deals with just talking about like not being sure, like having an idea of what it means to grow up and like what the American dream, and just like becoming an adult who like is doing well and isn't like a broke kid anymore, and realizing that like almost everyone is just sort of like still on the path to being a broke kid well into their like 30s and 40s probably, so just like looking at the future and just being like, I don't know how that's going to be, how this is all going to come together, or like maybe the American dream is a little bit of a myth maybe at this point, and like it's like the world feels like it's falling apart sometimes, so it's kind of like, what's the point of like having a, like, the album's going to be called What Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up, but it's sort of like, because people ask that obviously kids all the time, but I think like it's like, you're in your 20s and you're still just like, well, what do I want to be when I grow, like I'm supposed to be grown up now, but I'm not. It's just like, you never stop asking that question. And also like, how do you answer like, what do you want to be when you grow up, when like the sky is on fire, which it was, on the West Coast last year, it's just like that. It's like hard to really think about the future as like a real thing. So I try to put that into the lyrics, and um, the best stuff is unreleased, but there's a song called You Up, which will be out in a few weeks, which has a lyric that's just, it's only sunny because the planet's dying. And it's just like, people seem to really like that. I'm gonna think about putting it on a t-shirt maybe.
that whole concept sounds really relatable, like, and I think that's a good message to like put out to people, because everyone's kind of like on their own journey and they don't really, everyone's like trying to find success and they're trying to find their direction. Like I totally relate to that, because I'm like trying to break into the music industry, and like that in itself is like super hard, especially like now that I'm in college. And it's like obviously you're going to doubt yourself a lot and you're going to see like trials and tribulations. And I like how you use that visual of like the plant dying. Like it's cool. It's like it's
Yeah.
really like, I like music that you can kind of paint a picture in your head too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm dropping a song actually. It'll probably be out before this, so it should be out now if for people who are listening, because it's dropping tonight, which is called World on Fire. And it's just, yeah, it's like the videos, everything is just like orange, and
That's sick.
it's yeah, like that look of just like the way that sky looked last year. We just try to put that into everything. There's an orange car, there's orange flowers, there's orange, everything is just sort of glowing with that eerie look.
How does it feel to like be an artist and also a producer who's worked with so many big names, and then you're also trying to make out into the industry by yourself as your own artist? How does that feel?
It's interesting. I mean, it's definitely like, um it's a time thing sometimes, like like I'm supposed to go work with Metro booming tonight, but I also have a rehearsal for my own music today, and I need to get an arrangement for something else done over the weekend. So it's like, when do I? There's like no time. You know what I mean? It's just like everything is. It's just twice as much stuff, kind of. And the thing is, like, being an artist, like, it's like, I guess it's just because I've had success as a producer first, but like, it's not that hard to make money as a producer if you're like in the system and working with artists who are signed, and the labels will pay you fees for making the stuff even if the song doesn't do anything. But as an artist, it's like the songs have to do crazy streams to really be able to pay your rent, or you got to be doing touring that's making you a lot of money, or selling merch. And so it's like, I think all the, just from a business standpoint, all the work I do as a producer kind of like pays for me to be able to do the artist stuff until the artist stuff really takes off. At which point I'll probably do a lot less producing, because to be honest, it's like, it's not as fun for me to like have to hop around all these different studios and work on other people's stuff, which, like, I mean, I like doing it, and I like working with artists that I really like, but a lot of it is also just stuff that like I probably wouldn't commit as much time to if I didn't have to. But an upside of it is that, when it is someone like, as I mentioned, 070 Shake, that, or Kanye to an extent, like, if it's someone who I'm really inspired by, then working with them can really like help me identify stuff in my own music that I want to explore, because it's like, I'm used to thinking about what does that artist want from me. And like, if it's someone whose taste I really respect, then it's cool to be like, oh, like, let me do something that like I would do for Shake, but I'm gonna do it for myself, or I'm gonna do something that I would do for Kanye or whatever, Travis, and do it for myself and apply that sound, and like learn from working with these artists that I really like. I think that's something that's really nice about it. And then, I mean, obviously, like, another thing that's nice is just like being connected with a lot of big artists. It's like, if I need to call someone to get them to feature on a song, it's like a lot easier to make that happen. And a lot of people are like, how do you get all these people on the song? Well, it's just like, well, I've worked with them, and I've done stuff for them. And it's like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna do it. And sometimes it is hard to then be like, hey, cool, we'll want to hop on my song or whatever. But some people are really generous, some people are really down, and other people you just hassle endlessly, and eventually they do it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but it's cool because you get that inspiration from the artists you work with. And like, I find when I listen to artists that I'm really inspired by, and like, I find like that the production really inspires me a lot, because I'm like, oh, like, I like how this sounded, like, I want to put that in my own music.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And like, it's great that you have like people that you can have on your song, and and it's fun to work with them, and kind of make like a banger. I saw you had Code of the Friend on one of your songs. I really like
Yeah,
him. He's
him. And
great.
well, I put the thing with that one that's funny, the song's called Throwback Thursday, is that I have him and Lil Keed on the same song, which appeal to pretty much opposite, like, to pretty much as opposite as you can get as far as rap music goes. So I think a lot of people enjoyed seeing that, just because it was just like, what, this is crazy, like, who would, and so I feel like that. And that's some stuff I think I learned from Kanye's music, is just putting really unexpected collaborators together. And like, it's impressive if you can make it work, and that's something that I feel like I can do. So it's kind of like a good way to show off my skills as a producer, I think.
Yeah, that's the best, when you can like get a kind of unusual sound and like put it together, and then it sounds fire. Like, even on like All of the Light, I think he had like Elton John. Like, he had Fergie, he had like this whole roster of people, and like blended together and it sounded fire.
That's actually a great example. That's one of the ones I always use, is Fergie. Just like, it's just like, who else would have ever put her on that? And yeah, that song's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, Elton John, I think Alicia Keys. I don't know if you said that, but yeah, like, it's just got Cuddy.
Oh yeah, Cuddy. Oh
The
my
Elton
God, I
John
love
part is one of the weirdest ones, because you like, if you don't know it's there, it's almost like he basically has like one line. Amazing.
like even Dark Fantasy, when like the
Yeah,
beginning.
that was the one that really got me, and Runaway. I really liked it because it really reminded me of like the type of thing I would do when I'm writing classical music, like just really strong statements. It's like long sections with no drums or with no vocals, like, just simple ideas, like a repeating piano note, or like, the auto tune thing at the end over the cello is just like, that have like a real shape to them, and aren't like,
Yeah.
it's not just like, here's the drums, here's the bass, here's the the rhythm instrument, and here's the vocal. It's like, it's much more like treating it like a composition of, I think you probably know, but I did this concert called Beethoven a couple years ago, that was just focusing on the music from Jesus, and just with a live orchestra, mashing it up with Beethoven, and trying to kind of talk about the things I was just talking about, which is saying like, look at how these production elements really kind of work as just pure instrumental, like classical music, basically, if you take them out of context. So
thank you everyone for watching. Johan, thanks for joining.
oh yeah.